Alright, hey everyone. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to take your Unity 5.3 versions of the AltspaceVR avatars and updating those for 5.6. I'll also show you how to import them from scratch and how to fix one issue that you might run into. So first things first, you need to have Unity 5.3.4 P1 installed. That would be the one that you installed on the last version. If all you're doing is importing them from scratch, you don't need this, but if you're upgrading from the old one, actually you probably don't need it there either. It's just good to keep it around in case your project breaks. Then you need a project from 5.3. In this case I have this AltSpace content project is from 5.3, so I'll be updating that. And then you need the Unity installer for 5.6.3, the new version that VRChat now uses. And you need the SDK. All this stuff will be linked in the description. So to start off, let's go ahead and install Unity 5.6.3 P1. I'm not actually going to lead through this whole project because I've done this before, or through this whole install because I've done that before in the previous video. It's exactly the same. Just leave everything at defaults and hit go. And then what you need to do is take your project. So in this case I have this AltSpace content, and I'm going to make a copy of it. That might take a little bit of time, depending on how many cache files and things there are. I don't use a Windows default file copier, so this will look a little different from what you guys see, but same thing. And then what you're going to do is once this is copied over, you're going to go into the folder, go into the assets folder, and you're going to delete this VRC SDK folder. And I'm going to wait for this all to finish just so I don't mess with anything while it's still copying. Yeah, and basically there's the process is just you copy the project to a new one, you delete the VRC SDK folder, you open up that project in the newer version of Unity. It'll tell you, hey, this is an old project, we're going to update, you might have to re-import stuff. Just hit OK, it'll go through, it'll update things. Once that's updated, you just import the new VRC SDK, save the project and reopen it, and then you're good to go. In theory, I'll show you a few things that will not work or things that you might run into. Actually, while I'm waiting on this, go ahead and go to our VRChat archive project site, and I'm going to download one of the other avatars here just so you guys can see one of the issues you might run into, because I do have one package that's actually got a problem right now. I'll be fixing it, but in the meantime, you'll need to know how to do this. There we go, downloading that file. Go ahead and just share that in my folder. And go ahead and bring that over to my sort of working folder here that I set up. There we go, so that's our Pod Classic Unity package like you would be downloading. Okay, so it looks like that finished. So let's go ahead and go into that project. So here's the copy of the project I made. I'm going to go ahead and rename that to 5.6. Let's do 5-6. I don't like putting a period in your folder name. And like I said, go into that, go into assets, and delete the VRC SDK folder. And in my case, I'm also going to delete this folder. You shouldn't have to do that, but there's an update to Shader Forge, so I'll be installing that as well for 5.6, but just ignore that. Yeah, so once that's done, we can just go back and go ahead and launch Unity 5.6.3 P1. If it's your first time launching Unity, it will have you log in with your Unity account. You might have the option to run offline or something like that. But alright, go to my D drive, VRChat content, and I'm going to open up the copy of the folder that I made. You just select that base folder and then hit select folder. It'll say, hey, this was last opened with an older version of Unity, 5.3.4 P1. Does not match the version 5.6.3 P1 that we're opening it with. Just hit continue. There's going to be two problems you can run into, so like I said, I'll show you guys all that. I'm going to drag this over here. And there we go. So it has now opened. For whatever reason, it started me off on the asset store. I'm not sure why. All right, so we've got one of our characters here, and yeah, it should be good. Now, just for the sake of this, I'm going to unhide all of the characters because I've got them all in one file, so they're all just going to be kind of overlapping here. But I want to show you what you'll see if there's going to be an error. But first, we need to import the VRChat SDK. So let's go ahead and, so that's it right there. Because right now, if you click on these guys, you'll see they have scripts on them, but it says none, the associated script cannot be loaded. That's because we deleted the folder that had the VRChat scripts that these are looking for. So we need to fix that quickly before we save or do anything. So all I did is double clicked on the Unity package for the VRChat SDK. So that would be the second download link. You just double click on that with Unity open and it'll pull this up. And just hit import. It'll go ahead and re-import all those scripts that these avatars are looking for. Now sometimes they'll relink automatically as soon as you import. Sometimes they won't. I recommend just saving your project, or just saving and closing and reopening it just to be sure that they all find that the scripts are back where they should be, the new versions. And this will take a little while. There's a lot of stuff in that SDK. Actually, I really didn't need to re-download Pod Classic, but I will. I'll delete him from my current project and just re-import it, just so you guys can see how importing a character into a new project will look. If you are doing a new project, you'll just start with this step of importing the SDK first, and then you'll do the rest once I get there. All right, so here we go. There's all of our avatars. And you can see if I click on one now, it still says script could not be found. So I'm just going to hit save and close. And we'll go ahead and reopen Unity 5.6.3 P1. And now our project is just listed here, so we'll click it. Okay, so we are good. Everything should be imported. Now if I click on these, there you go. You can see it correctly refound the projects. Now, I recommend, since you're uploading a new version anyway, under your avatars, if you've used them before and have uploaded them before, when you click on them, you're going to see over here, Pipeline Manager Blueprint ID will actually have a value there. If you have any issues uploading them again, I would recommend you hit Detach here, is what it'll say if it had a value. That'll sort of just clear out any caches that their servers would have for this object and upload it as a new copy. Alright, so, well, at this point you could technically go ahead and upload these. So I'm going to open up the VRChat SDK and make sure that I'm signed in as myself. Under Settings, I am. So go to Show Build Control Panel. Under here you can see none of these avatars have any issues. They are just being perfect, and that's just, well, this one's warning me that it's a little high poly, which it is, but it's still fine. Still well within the limits. So surprisingly, none of these are having issues. I had an issue with the Pod Classic before, but yeah, so you would just hit build and publish on one of these. I'll still go through how to fix the issue I had with Pod Classic. Basically what it would say there would be something like, arms are not a child of the chest bone, or make sure chest bone is top. Like, it'll be something about your bone hierarchy, complaining about something not being under something else, or something weird like that. Or you might even see some issue with, like, hand bone is not under something else. It's kind of a cryptic message, but yeah, so there you go. You just put in a name, make sure your image is good, and you hit upload, and that's all you would do, and then your avatar would work. Yeah, so provided you run into nothing, that's all you need to watch. But let's go ahead. I'm going to get rid of Pod Classic and re-import him, because that's one that I had an issue with in the past. So go ahead and re-import Pod Classic. I'm going to tell it to overwrite. Okay, that's interesting. So it doesn't want to re-import him. Okay, well. Anyway, so if you do have an issue with one of the avatars, you're just going to go under AltspaceVR, Player Models, then go to whichever one you have an issue with. For me, it was Pod Classic is what I had a problem with. And then you want to go under sources is where I've got the actual FBX file. You can tell it's the FBX file because when you select it down here, it'll say .fbx. Whereas this one out here is actually a prefab file, .prefab. That's the one that's like already pre-set up with all the avatar descriptors and all that. This is the source 3D model and rig, the FBX. So you want to go under sources, FBX, and once you select it over here, you'll see model, rig, animations. You got 3 tabs of settings, and we're gonna hit configure. This should say humanoid, create from this model, and then you can hit configure. It might warn you need to save. If so, go ahead and do so. I already have, so it's not an issue. Now you're gonna see really, really tiny version of the avatar because the scale on these is just wonky. But yeah, probably if you had this issue, what you will see here on the right hand side under body is upper chest will have something assigned in there. Typically you'll see center spine 2, and then like center spine 1 would be under chest. The IK system in VR chat doesn't expect that for whatever reason. It expects that chest is the highest bone in the chest. So what we would have to do, let me go ahead and put this how it would be if you had issues, and then I'll show you how to change it. Come on, what's it called? Center spine 2. There we go. So this is how it would look if you were having issues. It would be 0, 1, and 2, and you don't want that. So you'd click on this little dot next to 2, and just scroll to the very top and choose none. And at this point, if you saved, it would complain about your arms not being like parented to things. So now you need to, under chest, where it says center spine 1, you click that little dot and change that to center spine 2. Basically everything between the hips, so center hip 0, and the spine 2, the IK system is going to control. So setting something in chest is just telling you where that top, the end of your chest chain is, if that makes any sense. But yeah, that should be all you have to do. So you just make sure it's hips, spine 0, spine 2 for this particular one, and just hit done, or hit apply and then done. And now we would have no issues. Of course, we didn't have issues before, so it's hard to show, but I did have that issue with a few of the avatars before. It seems they might have fixed whatever that problem was. So yeah, that's it. Yeah. I feel like I should possibly delete one of these. So let's completely delete Pod Classic and delete him from here. There we go. So we have no Pod Classic at all. So if you're starting from scratch, you're going to have an empty scene. Whoops, that just saved or something on me. Weird. All right, so you'd have an empty scene, and you would just have this Unity package downloaded. You just double click it. Say, hey, do you want to import? Just hit import. And once that's up, just go to Pod Classic and drag Pod Classic into your hierarchy, the prefab. And you just drag it up here, and that'll put it right at the origin. You can see it's already got the pipeline manager and avatar descriptor. It's got the eye position set correctly and all that. And from then on, you can just go show build control panel. And then you can hit build and publish. By the way, ignore these errors. I don't know why they still show them. That has been a not correct error for like since the past 20 versions of this SDK, so just ignore that. But yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up in Discord. My username is WackoMalt, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people there to help you out. So talk to you later.